Super Turbo Lighting Mod 2.1 Enhancement Reshade in Extreme Graphics Setting Tier by fnexus. Reshades for Super Turbo Lighting Mod 2.1. This is meant to enhance Super Turbo Lighting Mod, not completely change the way it looks. This includes darker nights, color corrections, it removes the yellow tint without adding a visible blue or any other color tint, like most other reshades, and more. Better interior lighting, bloom and sharpening, darker shadows, color correction, slightly more contrast and desaturation, darker the dark tones. This is the effect of making nights slightly darker. They are too bright in Super Turbo Lighting Mod, as well as darker shadows and interiors. It gets rid of the washed out look from Super Turbo Lighting Mod and adds more depth. Also gets rid of the yellow tint without adding any visible blue. Bloom, Loomer Sharpening, SMAA, Film Grain, though very subtle. Depth of Field, this is off by default. To enable it, you need to open up your MCFX config with the text editor and change it from 0 to 1 in the line that is defined as use depth of field. Lens flare is also off by default. To enable it, open GIMFX config with the text editor and change from 0 to 1. Optional graphics menu extreme setting tier. In the optional section, I've included my rendering XML file. This adds a tier beyond Ultra in your graphics menu called Extreme. It does not change any of the settings for the lower tiers. Low, Normal, High, Ultra. Just adds a tier beyond Ultra for those with a rig that can handle it. Check out the grass density and foliage distance with both settings on Extreme. You can also add the following to your user settings file. To force the game to load better textures, streaming/textures, use MIP Refiner to true. Make sure to calibrate your monitor. Recommended post-processing settings. Everything on except the chromatic arbitration and vegetting. Sharpening to low and gamma set to 1 by default. Now for my overall consensus or verdict of this reshade. And I have to say it is probably one of the best reshades for what it does, for what it represents and what it is. This reshade gives you just normality. It gets rid of certain sort of nuances in the game that were too yellow, but it doesn't add that sort of bluish tint. It's also a reshade that doesn't go off into the whole making the game look too cinematic. Like if you've seen Superman Returns, or whatever that Man of Steel movie was, the most recent one, you'll notice like a lot of reshaders tend to add that sort of filter to the Witcher game. It's not a bad thing, it's interesting for a time, but I find this one is the most immersive of the reshades I've played with thus far, simply because of what it doesn't do. Now granted, I am very much into depth of field, but with this reshade I didn't find myself missing it all that much. Everything is just subtly added. It's very tasteful in its presentation. The colors are just right when the sun sets or the moon is shining in the sky, and it's that right level of pink out there in the clouds. It's not overbearing, it's not overburdening, it's not in your face, it's not too oversaturated. It's just enough. It's that right sort of combination. It's a reshade, I'd say, for the immersive. For those who want to enjoy The Witcher and truly have it be an experience that they could lose themselves in without getting too much film grain or lens flare in the camera, or lens dirt or something like that is too much. I guess the word I'm looking for is in moderation. It can be greatly appreciated. And that's what this mod represents. Moderation in the reshade. Something that's just there. Just enough for you to appreciate it, and just enough for you not to be overburdened by its presentation. That's what this reshade represents to me, and I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite reshades. Each one is just fantastic. I can find no true faults with this reshade at all. There's no points where I was looking up at the sky and the reshade was calibrated to the point of where the sun's light reflecting off the moon just made it look like a big white spot in the sky. This reshade doesn't do that. This reshade doesn't add a overly bearing depth of field. When you look at someone, then everything's out of focus, and it's in focus, and it's out of focus, and that could be jarring on the eyes. I'd say if you want a good reshade that's tasteful, then the Super Turbo Lighting Mod 2.1 Enhanced Reshade Extreme by fnexus is definitely for you. Well, that'll be it for me. Now I know I made 2 of these videos back to back, but I felt putting them together in one video would do a disservice to the mod authors themselves, who each deserve their own sort of showcase or spotlight, and I wanted that to be clearly represented in each piece. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll be able to figure out how to edit better and make these seem less slapdash. Well, good day to you, sir. As always, I'm Kevin Bacon, and you can see my hit movie Footloose. I know, Kitty, that wasn't very funny. I suck at this. I should be beaten.
Don't calm him down. What fucked up